Hello, I am Dawn Westmoreland, hailing from Asheville, North Carolina, the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains. I have resided here almost 18 years after retiring from the Air Force. I come from WPVM FM LP 103.7, the voice of Asheville, and my show is called The Empowered Whistleblower. The empowered whistleblower is blowing the whistle on things that can be changed in the workplace and also acknowledging the good things because there are a lot of good people out there doing great things. And one of them is Dr. Margaret Barrow. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Yes. And one thing, this is Black History Month, I want to acknowledge the successes, the sacrifices, and just all people of color. This is Black History Month. I honor you. And I think other people should also be aware it's Black History Month.
Yes. Yes. Thank
My
you so much.
Yes. Now my show is changed. It's now aired on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock to 9:30, or anytime you stream my syndicated radio show. So let's start off with the price of success. So I got to know Dr. Barrow, and the price of success can be awfully high when you're trying to get ahead. And I'm going to throw it into that. I've been in HR over 32 years, and I've seen a lot of discrimination and a lot of issues that go on in the workplace. So Dr. Barrow has made it to be a professor, and we're going to talk about her journey and also as a woman of color. Dr. Barrow, tell us what you do and where you're at.
Hi, my name is Margaret Barrow, and I am a college professor at the Borough of Manhattan Community College, and I'm also the CEO and founder of It's NOLA, which is a plant-based snack company in Brooklyn, New York.
Awesome. Now, did you start out being a professor many years ago?
I did. I was an adjunct for about 4 years, and I taught at Queens College, which I love.
I bet.
Baruch College, which not Baruch College, sorry, John Jay College, which was fantastic. It was a great experience there. In fact, that's where I was inspired to go after my doctoral studies. So it's a very important place for me in terms of building a foundation of hope for myself. And then I decided to teach at a community college because I really had to think about where it was needed. And I really didn't think that I was needed at the four-year college or an Ivy League college. I really believed that I could become my best self as a teacher working in the community college, because those students are me, when I was younger. So I wanted to be there and provide the kind of support they need. And because many of them are first generation college students, you need a lot of support.
Yes, I can remember going to college, earning those college degrees and needing mentors and good professors, good teachers myself. So
Yes.
let's start out with your journey. When you first started to go in and to teach, did you run into any obstacles?
I think as an adjunct, it's a lot easier to find a position as an adjunct because most of the teaching positions in colleges across the United States are filled with part-time contingent faculty. So I didn't really have a difficult time finding a job. I think I was surprised to find that there weren't that many people of color in full-time positions. I think that's what I was really shocked about. And while there has been some movement over the last 20 years, we're still seeing a dearth of people of color in full-time positions in English departments.
Do you know why there's not many people of color?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if I can speak to that. We did have many conversations about it in our department. We've had many national conversations about it. The professors of color who are going into the field are often, especially people of color, they're going into, because there's so few of them, they don't come into the community college so much as, they're offered these great positions sometimes at the Ivy League institutions, but since there aren't many of us. But overall, I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know the research behind why we don't see as many people of color, but I know that there are a lot of people of color who go on the interviews I do know that.
Okay.
Publishing is difficult. Publishing is very difficult, and it could be something to that effect. Maybe I'm not sure. Again, I don't know the research, but I know that when we're looking often to hire, we're looking for people who are publishing, contributing to the community, the larger academic community, and so that can be difficult too. That can be very difficult. I actually came into the college, and I was someone who was working on my doctoral program. I was at Columbia University, Teachers College, working, and I got an email saying that the BMCC had 8 positions open, full-time, tenure track. And so I was very fortunate enough to come on board along with 5 other faculty at that time, and we were all working on our doctoral program, and we had 5 years to finish. So the college said, we'll hire you, 5 years to finish your doctoral studies. And that was challenging too, because when you're working, when you are in school at night, you have children like I did, and you want to take on responsibilities at the college, and it's really important to be an active member. And so I took on a little bit more than I should have at the college, and no one said no. I felt like somebody should have been looking out for me, saying, "Don't do that," But I did. I took on leadership positions, and that then slowed me down in terms of getting through the 5 years. And so I did go to the president and argue my case. And I said, I have been in these leadership positions, and so I understand that you said 5 years, but I'm asking for an additional year. I thought I was going to be fired, to be honest. But they came back and they said, no, you're right. You were in positions of leadership, and the college is going to give you another year to finish.
Well, that's fantastic.
I busted my butt. And I was still teaching full time at BMCC. So, but I'm very grateful that I had those opportunities. And I think it has to do with the relationships that you cultivate along the way.
Very good. Have you had any relationships that, got in your way of success?
Not in academia. I guess when someone tells me that I can't do something, I just don't listen to it. I have been told, I remember when one of my colleagues and I decided to start a national literature pedagogy conference at the college, and we were told, we're not giving you any money. And I said, well, we don't need your money. I'm going to go out and get money. And I did. I went out, and I knew it was not my responsibility to do that, but I also knew that if I didn't do it, that we weren't going to be able to create this very important national conference on literature pedagogy. So I went out and I raised about $25,000, and that was through the textbook companies, the New York Times, and some other companies that we reached out to. And when the college saw that, they realized that I was very serious about this, and the conference still exists. We started it in I think it was 2012, and the conference still exists today. I'm very proud of that hard work that we did. So no, I whenever someone tells me I can't do something, I try to figure out a way around it, because I think it's very easy to complain about the world. It's very easy to complain about things, but I'm more of a problem solver. I'm not saying that I haven't experienced people who stood in my way, but I have gone around them. I have found ways around them. And I'm not saying that it's not painful sometimes for that to happen. In academia, I don't think it happened too much. I've learned in academia, I learned that I had a voice. And even though I was not tenured, and sometimes when you're not tenured, you're terrified of saying the wrong thing or pissing off the wrong person. Yeah. And I got to the point after my 3rd year when I was like, I'm not being my authentic self if I don't speak up. And I do think that's important. And I do think that, yes, I would like to keep my job, but there are certain things I will not stand for. So there was an incident where one of the faculty said something to me and another woman of color. And then I just went up to him and I was like, I don't appreciate that. And he's like, well, I was just saying it because, it's true. You guys are articulate. And I said, but you didn't say that to anybody else. You just said it to us. So there was a reason why you said it to us. And I said, I'm not saying that you are intentionally being racist. What I'm saying is that you are saying things to us feels racist. So we're asking you to pay attention to your language when you speak to us and you speak about us. And so that was the first time I really spoke up for myself.
Did you feel empowered after you did that?
I did. I absolutely did. And I realized that, that feeling of empowerment is what I wanted to carry with me every day. I did not want to be afraid of speaking my truth. And so, I've moved forward with that. I moved forward, holding on to that, the importance of empowerment and my voice and what it means, not just to me, but to other people as well. Because, when you speak up, you can change what happens to other people going forward.
Totally. Absolutely. Do your students empower you, Dr. Barrow?
Oh my God. They do. Every day. I know that when you think about what were you meant to do in life? That to me, I know I was meant to teach. I know that with all my heart. I know that I was meant to teach. And regardless of whether, it's NOLA becomes this, amazing, very successful international company, I will continue to teach in some way. It's in me. It's ingrained in me. The students empowered me to start It's NOLA.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, that's exciting.
It wasn't at the time. I was so excited about started making my own granola because the granola I had grown up eating was full of junk. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why it took me 40 years to pay attention to that, but it did. It took me about 40 years. Oh my gosh, what is this I'm eating? And so once I realized that I was not treating my body as well as I thought I was, I went into my kitchen and I was like, you know what? I know I can do better than this. And I kept thinking about, well, what do I want to get rid of? What do I want to get rid of? And what do I want to add to this? So I really wanted to make sure that it was, had real ingredients in it. So that's what I paid attention to, the oats, gluten-free rolled oats, and the seeds that help digestion, and nuts because I'm a vegan. And I wanted to make sure that I was being true to that and making sure that this is something that I could share with other people. So I was focused on first my family. My family is really hard. We all eat very differently. So my husband used to make 4 different meals sometimes. I said to him, well, I grew up, but in my family, my mother was like, you either eat it or you don't.
Eat it or starve, right?
No, that's up to you. This is what you're eating.
Sounds like
my husband is he's just so wonderful. He would just make all these meals. And I remember thinking, are you crazy? So making this product for this granola for my family, I really had to think about, okay, what are some of the flavors that they like? And I wanted them to eat it. So the first thing I made was our luscious cranberry coconut. And it was during Thanksgiving, and my family loves cranberry, and I don't. So I was like, what if I mix the cranberry with coconut, And when I did, the smell that was coming from the kitchen, I knew this was special, So, and making the product, I then brought it to school because my students were so tired in the morning, and I'm the kind of person, I love teaching at 8 o'clock in the morning. I get up at 5. I get up at 5. I go to bed at 12. That's just how I've been. I grew up on a ranch. You get up with the sunrise. So I brought them to class, and I asked my students, "Would you try it at least?" And they were like, "Professor, it's vegan." I don't think so. And I was like, "But come on!" I said, "It tastes good." They said, "We heard that vegan food tastes like sawdust." They were saying all kinds of things, and I said, maybe a long time ago, that's the way it was. But I think today, more people are trying to eat healthy, so just try it. And at that time I had 10 flavors that I brought in. And they sat and they ate them and they were looking at each other and looking at me and smiling. And I was like, okay, this is good. They like it. And then each day we met, they would actually come up to me and say, what flavor did you bring today? You know? So they
Oh,
really liked it. And then they started coming around to my office. So students, not a lot of students like office hours, right? You say you have office hours. Some students will never come to your office hours, but I had snacks. So they would go to my office hours and hang out. And I knew it was just for the snacks. I was like, I would sit and talk and eat these snacks. And then eventually a group of students came up to me and they said, Professor, we really think you should start a business. This is really good. And I feel it's healthy. I feel like I have more energy. I've been eating it for a month. And I was like,
wow.
oh, okay. And I said, but I'm not starting a business. That's just not going to happen. My life is full. And they're like, Professor, you should really think about it. And I said, okay, I will. I'm not really, but okay. And then they came back again and they kept asking for more. Eventually, the students came back to me with a pile of surveys and they were taking this product because they were asking for bags of them. They said they were taking it to their families. They were taking them around New York City, giving them to people, having them fill out surveys. And they came back to me a month later and they said, Professor, look at this, read these. And they handed them to me. I started crying because I was like, what? Why did you do this? They said, because, you were always telling us that every argument needs evidence. Our argument is that you should start a business. Here's our evidence. And I just sat there just kind of reading through these surveys and I just couldn't believe it, And I was like, what am I going to do? And I kept thinking, what is it they see in me? Like, I don't know anything about running a business. So eventually I spoke with the business professor at the college and I said, what if I can marry these two ideas of sharing healthy snacks with people and giving to community college mentoring programs, is that possible? Can I do that in a business? And he said, yeah, make it a part of your mission. And I was like, what, is that easy? He's like, yeah, it's that easy. And I said, oh, okay. So I went to the students. I was like, I think I'm going to do this. They were so excited and they really helped me a lot. They've encouraged me even up to this day. One of them surprised me at one of the events and he came and he said, Professor, see what I told you? So, and they also helped name some of the flavors. They'd come around, we sat around on a focus group and ate them and wrote down on our cards, what is the first flavor you taste? What is the adjective? So.
That's just amazing. So they saw the gift in you and had so much respect for you that they took it upon themselves to go out and do these surveys to support you, to empower you, and to project you going forward. That's just incredible.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you have any setbacks while you tried to do this product?
I think one of there are two setbacks I'd like to share. One is I thought, because I didn't know better, I thought it would be great to bring aboard some of my students and mentor them as we learn together about entrepreneurship. Little did I know that I was going to be so stressed. It was the most difficult, I think mentally and emotionally, it was the most difficult thing to do, to wear those two hats, to be a mentor and also to be a partner with the students, so that was very difficult because I had to keep taking off my hats. And I literally would say to them, okay, I'm taking off the hat. I'm putting this one on. Right? I'm very proud of you that you did that. Now I'm going to put that's my mentor hat. Now I'm going to put on my partnership hat. Why would you do something like that? What possessed you to do that? Like, it goes against everything we're trying to do here, but still, I'm proud of you that you took the initiative to do something for yourself, and it's like that back and forth was very, very difficult. And then, trying to make sure that I was not crossing the line of being maternal to them, I was trying, and that's hard for me to do that. But Eventually, the first two students who work with me, they have moved on, which is important. One has started her own business as a life coach. The other one is now, yes, and the other one is she created a blueprint for a community center that focuses on Black history. It's
That's
just
amazing.
amazing. She's
That's
brilliant.
wonderful.
This is a young woman, Candace Riggs, who will become a college professor one day. She will. I absolutely know she will. But the other experience I wanted to share is my one of the students, Miriam Sano, who was working with us, we were trying to get into some of the retail stores. And so one day she walked into one of the stores. I won't say which one, but she walked into one of the stores and she says to the person at the, I think it was at a counter. And she said, "May I speak with the owner or the manager?" And this person is looking at her and he's like, "For what?" And she said, "Well, I would like to see if we can sell our product here. And so I've brought some samples." And so he just looks at her, never looks down at the samples. And he says, "Well, he's not here." So she said, "Well, when does he come in?" And he said 5. And it was about maybe 4, maybe like, no, it was 3:30. It was 3:30. And so she said, "Okay." There was a place in the store where they had seating because they had coffee. So she said, "I'll just sit here and wait. I don't mind." So she was sitting there for an hour and she got to her, she's like looking around and she sees all of these people go over to that same person who said that the manager wasn't there. So she walked over to one of the cashiers and she said, "Miss, who's the manager?" And she turns on and points to the man.
Oh no.
And so she walked up to him and she's like, "You could have just been honest. I don't know why you would do that to me. I've been sitting here waiting. Like, what did I do to you? What did I do? Is it because I'm Black? Like, I don't know. Like, tell me. Is it because I'm a woman? What is it? Why couldn't you have just been honest with me?" And she said, "I really felt that it was racism. She said she really felt that. And I've gone into stores and I did this test. I went into a store in Manhattan and I brought the product up to who I knew was the manager. And he said, "Oh no, we're not taking samples." I said, "Okay." So I walked out. Well, I gave the same bag to my friend who's Caucasian. He walked in with the bag and came out without it. And I said to him, "What?" And I said, "This is why this is so hard. This is so hard. It's so hard, and walking in and just feeling people's eyes on you like you're not of value, that, I'm not being looked at someone who is running a company. I don't look like someone who is running a company." And so I just thought, how am I going to get around this? And I said, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going into those places. And yes, have I hired a salesperson to help me? Yes. And he's Black. I hired a salesperson to help me, and someone else said, "I suggest that you hire maybe a group of people, maybe a diversity of people to kind of go out and represent your company in that way." So I agree. But, we do get turned down. And I've had this conversation with other Black and BIPOC community CEOs, and we all speak to this problem where we're not looked at as people who are capable of running a successful company. It's like, in general, we don't look like that person. And so sometimes we don't get those kinds of opportunities because of the way we look.
And that's so unfair. Dr. Barrow, as we narrow down our interview, any advice for people of color that are trying to do work like you? They're trying to be an entrepreneur. Maybe they're trying to sell services or products. Any advice for them?
Yes. One of the things that I learned during the pandemic is that there's one thing to start a business and want to earn money and be successful, but there's a whole part of business that oftentimes we don't think about, and that is representation. And so the National Retail Federation has become such an amazing platform for small businesses and large businesses where they have direct contact with our congressional leaders, where you can go and talk to them. And I think it's so important for a lot of the minority-owned companies to be a part of this the National Retail Federation, because that's where you can have a seat at the table and your voice will be heard. And so I implore anyone who's going into business, make this one of your first stops. Become a member. It is important. The Small Business Council, make sure that you speak with someone like Megan Cruz, and just talk about what you want and what you need, because if you don't, no one else is going to help you. You have to advocate. And I think this is what the National Retail Federation has taught me to do, is to truly advocate, not just for myself, but to advocate for others. And so I do think it's important that many of us make that commitment to others, not just to ourselves.
Now, before the interview, we were talking and you said you're a quiet person. How have you moved through all of this journey being a quiet person?
It's very interesting. I definitely, when I was in school, all of my teachers are like, she doesn't talk. She's very quiet. She's just very quiet. But I also understood something as I watched other people. I like watching people. I like learning from people. And I knew that the people who spoke up were the people who were getting things done. Many of them were getting things done, their needs met. And oftentimes when I did not speak up, people assumed that I was already okay. And I realized in graduate school that that was not okay, that I had a responsibility to myself to speak up and let people know what I needed in order to grow into the person I wanted to become.
Do you feel that speaking up, that you're also empowering other people?
Oh, absolutely. I actually talked to my students about that. I have a student who came to me the other day and he said, you notice, Professor, I'm sitting there in class and I haven't said anything, but you see my lips moving, right? And I said, yes, I do. And I said, you know, I see the fear on your face too. And I said, remember, you're not the only person who's afraid. I said, but for me and the way that I teach, education is not about whether you're right and wrong about something. Education is about exploration. It's okay to be wrong about something, but to explore something means that we learn. We're learning as we are exploring. And so if you ask a question, maybe it's a question that nobody has thought of. And that question is going to help all of us become richer with knowledge and help us understand ourselves as well as the world. I said, so think about asking the class a question rather than trying to supply an answer.
Been such an interesting conversation, very empowering. And I want to ask you, how can people get a hold of you and also find out about It's NOLA?
Yes, you can get a hold of me at mbarrow@itsnola.com. And you can get a hold of our wonderful snacks, delicious, healthy. And also, I also want to point out something really quickly. We don't make your normal, ordinary granola. We make chewy, compact, delicious granola, not full of junk. It is very, very good for you. And we have the most amazing flavors. You will not find them anywhere. And if you do, call me.
Okay, what if somebody wants to present an interesting flavor? Would you be open to that, Dr. Barrow?
I would love to talk about it. Absolutely, if someone did. Our newest flavor is blueberry, lavender, and mint.
Oh, wow.
Our current flavors are cranberry, luscious cranberry coconut, sassy mango masala, decadent chewy chocolate. It's dark 100% chocolate, no additives. And we also have our strawberry banana, supposedly America's favorite flavor, but I put a twist on it with a little bit of nutmeg and made it taste like cake.
Ooh, that sounds neat. Well, Dr. Barrow, we're out of time. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We salute you, a person of color. This month is Black History Month. Salute all people, Black, all the contributions and sacrifices. I'm Dawn Westmoreland, your host of the Empowered Whistleblower. Stay empowered. Again, everyone, have a great week.
Thank you.